How's it going, YouTube? Welcome back to another video on the channel. And a few days ago, I asked you guys over on Twitter and here on YouTube, what is your card of the year 2022? Could be your favorite card, the card that impacted the game the most, anything you wanted. And I kind of want to go through your answers and maybe come to a conclusion who wins this makeshift award of Card of the Year 2022. Before we begin, make sure to leave a thumbs up on the video, subscribe as always if you are new, and maybe we'll give this award to the Card of the Year today if we can reach a conclusion. If you want 5% off any single or sealed product and want to support me and the channel, head over to tierzerogames.com and use code GALZO5 at checkout. So let's dive into your answers, and the first one coming in from Uriofe says, this card/engine has been in the meta ever since it came out in January. Literally took 8 months for this card to stop being meta. This card has been in PK, both Knights and Kids, that's true, Prank Kids and Phantom Knights as well, Punk, Branded Eldritch, Based, and so many more decks. This was an adventure for sure. We also saw this card performing pretty well when Sprite was first released with Adventure Sprite, and this is honestly like a very good take in my opinion. Rite of Ramsir and the entire adventure engine has been something that the TCG was really looking for when 2022 came around the corner, and I think it really proved itself. I think the prices are really spiking back up again now. It had a little bit of a downfall when it wasn't really played, but now maybe because of things like Kashtira looming in the horizon and like no reprints announced for this package, maybe this will actually come back and see a lot of play. I think Rite of Ramsir and the Adventure Engine is like a really good take. So this is honestly gonna come back a lot during this video, but I'm gonna try to like narrow it down because my audience, you guys, are a little bit biased towards Branded and Despia. So of course a lot of people said Fallen of Albaz, Branded Fusion, Mirror Jade even, and this guy, Yugi Boom, says, I would say Branded Fusion. Add another one to the list of more broken fusion spells that are in the game. Albaz/Despia is a fun deck too. So I think when it comes to the Albaz Strike structure deck, I put it back when I made the product list of 2022 as one of the top like best products of the year. And I think Branded Fusion is such an insane card, and like the entire engine when it released was very powerful. But honestly, I would say that Mirror Jade is a better take for Card of the Year 2022 just because it's such a good card. It's such a powerful card. Branded Fusion obviously enables it, but Mirror Jade is just like an insane powerhouse. So of course Branded is like very soft spot in my heart, but I don't know about Card of the Year. I don't know about that. So we got another Branded player here. The two cards that defined my year of Yu-Gi-Oh! Were Branded Fusion and Tearlaments Havness. I love both, but I suppose I love my ulti Ecclesia more. Branded Fusion, we heard that already. Tearlaments Havness, I think Tearlaments in general is like a recency bias when it comes to Card of the Year. I think Havness is arguably the best card in the Tearlaments deck, but I don't know about Card of the Year. Like, think about that, like a common out of like a core booster pack being Card of the Year. I think Tearlaments Havness is one of the strongest cards released this year, definitely, but I don't know about Card of the Year for this one. Artist with Afro says, help them get a second summon, and the attribute change helps them summon Bahamut and Toad. Ancient Warrior Saga, Deception, and Betrayal. First time I personally see this card. So we got another vote for Tearlaments Havness from Gumshow VT. Represents the best deck of the year, and it signals a major design innovation in engine hand traps. Hey, I agree. I totally agree with that. So I did talk about the recency bias and of course the Branded and Despia bias, but King Farouk said, I feel Aluber could be because of how his pride was flying everywhere before and after Albaz Strike because his importance to the deck. So Aluber is probably one of the best normal summons in Yu-Gi-Oh history, right? This card enables an insane amount of plays, and I do agree that Aluber is a very good card. Also, it has like a very cool graveyard like secret effect. I think it's really good. So Set 5 Podcast says, hands down, Runick Fountain, bringing on not only a new engine to many decks with the extra deck summons or tech disruptions, but provided players with a new arsenal of a win con against combo decks with timely milling. So I think Runick was one of the biggest surprises of the year for sure. I think that Runick, when it first initially came out, or like just before it came out, it didn't really experience any hype before it was released like we have today. Kostya, everybody knows that February is going to be insane for Kostya, but Runick was kind of a sleeper. Then it was like played in a little bit of stun, and then it was picked up by Sprite players, and then it really took off. So I think that Runick Fountain is definitely a game changer of a card, like introducing this new mechanic of activating spell cards from your hand on your opponent's turn. That's kind of nuts. Shiggy says, access code talker. I know it's a cliche, but my favorite card of 22 has to be Alba's finally getting structure deck, even though it became too popular to keep enjoy playing the deck until later in the year when the deck was power crept. Just the Little Dragon Boys lore alone is worth the title. So Infernoble 1 says, for me, it would either be Mirror Jade or Sprite Elf. Two insanely powerful cards. Hard to pick one over the other. I think Sprite Elf came, but like repeated itself a few times during this post, and I think that Sprite Elf is a really good contender for one of the most powerful cards coming out this year. Considering it was the latter part of the year, I think Sprite Elf is an insanely powerful card that is just like a main combo piece in both of the top decks in the format, except like Flaunderies that doesn't play like conventionally. But Sprite Elf has to be one of the best cards released this year. It has to be Mech Knight Crusadia Avramax this year, the year Master Duel released. He has since been a part of the most best board making decks. Two cards that wrapped the metagame all year as opposed to half of it, Elf, Dimension Shifter, and Fairy Tale Snow. IMO, it's Snow for sure. That card was played in basically all the adventure decks, was played in Despia, and finally, too much in Tier, played all year. This is a very good take. I think the Dimension Shifter has its place, like the latter part of the year. Dimension Shifter has been like a pain in everyone's butts, for sure. But Snow getting banned, it had like a really interesting, fairy tale like story throughout the year. Played in like heavy mill combo deck 60 card piles as like an engine, and then played as a really important combo piece and interruption in Tearlaments when it first came out, with the Danger Tearlament stuff. I think Snow is a very interesting take for sure for card of the year. Okay. Definitely Hulk. I like this card so much that if you don't count Branded, he was in everything else I played in 2022. Predaplant Ambulomelitis. Sure, that makes sense. The man, the myth, the legend, Torrential Chengiz. Bingo says probably DD Crow. It was huge, especially in the later half of 2022. I think that if you count DD Crow, it's probably one of the most played cards throughout the year, besides like Bystials right now. Sort of like the spot for the graveyard removal was taken by Bystials because of Tearlaments that run basically all darks in the deck. So it's just like a better, more effective DD Crow with legs. But DD Crow could banish spells and traps, which Bystials can't. And also, DD Crow was really good against things that weren't dark as well, so DD Crow is super interesting. The Bystial Lubellion, another Sprite Elf, Moki Adrift, Albion, both of them. Mirajid, the Ice Blade Dragon, loved the artwork so much. Crystal Halkifibex coming back again. Card was relevant for most of the year, first in side decks, then in Punk and Sword Soul, and finally in Sprite. Yeah, exactly as I said. Roy Rabani says, emergency teleport for me. That's a really interesting take. Was played in everything up to Power of the Elements. Also, by the way, post Power of the Elements, because Sprite initially played E-Telly to bring out Gamma so they would have a level 2. Was also playable in Sprite and Tier format. In the year of one card combos, I think this is the best one. Probably Guardian Chimera. Don't own it yet, but it adds so much to the deck and reliably make fusion summons that aren't Xenolocked like Hero. Shine Sparker says Mystic Mine. While not released in 2022, it possibly made the biggest impact this year. winning a YCS event, being a key component to the deck that won Hartford, North American Championships, European Championships, and forcing a deck building response that was detrimental to a lot of the strategies in Yu-Gi-Oh's highest powers format to date. I have to say that out of all of these takes, I definitely agree, and I also think that Mystic Mine, unfortunately, was the card of the year in 2022. This card was trending on Twitter several times. Each event that was taken over by Mystic Mine, and there were a lot this year, people were just like clamoring for this card to get banned. I think Mystic Mine probably had the biggest effect that any card had this year on the game, on the community, on the pressure put on Konami, on Twitter. Everything came and started with Mystic Mine. So I think, in my opinion, Mystic Mine might definitely take the trophy on this one. Has to be Branded Fusion! Blazing Cartesia. Branded Fusion, of course. Verte Anaconda. Also, an extremely powerful card that got banned this year was seeing play in almost every deck before getting banned. Even branded that were locked into fusions played Verte Anaconda because it was just too powerful to give up. So I think this about wraps it for this video. I think so many answers are super viable for the card of the year. Halki Fibrex, Verte, Mystic Mine, Branded Fusion and Mirror Jade, Dimension Shifter, Barrier Statue, Sprite Elf came into this list a lot of times. I think this card introduced some of the most broken and powerful cards, and even if they weren't released this year, they were definitely abused during 2022, just because the game was just like coming back to life and everybody was using everything. I think this was an amazing year for Yu-Gi-Oh! And I can't wait to see what 2023 brings to the table. Make sure you leave a comment below. What is your card of the year 2022? Make sure to leave a thumbs up on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you are new. And if you do want to support the channel, consider becoming a member. Click the join button below to learn more. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.